second. Can you hear me though? Oh, I can see you now.
Yeah.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Hi, how you going?
Good yourself.
Good. Okay, so just calling to just like conclude our assignment. We've been talking about the 5 different criteria for selecting Web 2.0 tools. And I guess I just wanted to talk to you about why you think it's important that we've come up with these criteria. So the criteria we came up with, we said that cost, usability, that it's engaging, it's got educational valuable, and it's transferable. So I guess like why do we think it's important that we've come up with these 5?
Yeah. Well, I think cost is the number. We had cost as the first one, and I think that one's important because we don't want to put parents out of pocket. I mean, obviously we sit there and think about from a teacher's point of resource, but one of the things is that parents have to pay for, access to apps or other programs, and I feel like parents easily find this kind of thing annoying and an inconvenience for them. So, I think, and plus also each student comes from a different socioeconomic background. An app might cost $5 or $1, or it doesn't really matter how much it is. But if we can find something that is free, I think that way we can ensure everybody has access to it. And also for us, free apps on iPad generally don't require parental permission. So it's something that if we decided that the students should get it for that lesson, it's something we don't have to worry about.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think when I've used it before, like looking for free versions of something has been really, really good because I don't have to worry then, like if, for example, I was in the future to move schools, I wouldn't have to then ask new students to pay for it or new schools to pay for the app because it would be free, or the web resource would be free, so I wouldn't have to worry about that in the future. So I think like looking for a free version is something I always do.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, and the next thing that we discussed was usability. Why did you think that was important?
Yeah, I think that one's, to be honest, I think they're all equally as important, but this one as well, because you only have so much time in a lesson, and the last thing you need to be doing is teaching students how to use a certain app or program. You need it for them to be able to not only access it straight away, but then also to be able to access the content. And the easier the application is, the quicker they're able to apply to complete the task to the best of their abilities. And you just don't want to be wasting time having to explain how something works, especially if it's something, a program that maybe you're only going to use a few times.
Mm-hmm. So when I was thinking about usability, I thought also about how easy it is for students to communicate and collaborate. So for example, when I use Google Docs, it's really easy for kids to use to start off with just by themselves. But then if they want to collaborate with other kids, then it's really easy for them to do that. I think it supports that online collaboration. It allows everyone to be able to express their thoughts and their opinions. So I think, usability, it's really important to help facilitate collaboration. The other thing I thought about with myself is, does the resource require much training to be able to use? So if I'm looking at a tool that will help to explain a concept, like for example I use GeoGebra quite a bit, it has a lot of online training available, but you don't have to do the training to be able to work it out. Like all the basic things, it's very intuitive, you can just do it by yourself. So I think in terms of usability, having training available is important, but I don't think you should have to spend a lot of time on the training to be able to use it effectively. So that's how I kind of thought about usability.
Yeah, I agree. Same concepts apply for explain everything at iMovie.
Yeah.
You can play around with it in 5 minutes time and go, yeah, I get this. And I think also Google Sites, I mean, a monkey can use that one.
Yeah, fair enough. So I think that leads really nicely into our next point, which was that the tool should be engaging. So I think for me, I thought when it's engaging, it needs to be a tool that challenges the students. It needs to be something that will push them to develop their understanding and to think deeply about a concept, because I'm a maths teacher, that's really what I want them to be doing. I don't want it just to be surface learning. So I think when I'm looking for a tool, I'm looking for something that is going to challenge them to that deeper understanding. How about what about your context? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. It needs to be engaging so that the students are becoming active participants in their own learning. And if a tool does elicit that kind of excitement or engagement or ease of use for the student, well, then they're not going to achieve the learning outcomes and meeting that success criteria. So that's one of the things I think about it. And that goes, from not just being able to challenge, but even from the aesthetics. The students want to look at it and be excited based on what it is as well. And what else we talk about is the interactivity about it. I sit there and think that if you can't interact with it, well, what's the difference between that than just writing your answers on a book?
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the readings that I did, it mentions like the fun factor. So being able to interact with it and to have a bit of fun is really important. So I guess that is kind of what I was thinking when we spoke about the tool having to be engaging.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. And then I guess actually what I was saying before about engagement, I guess that comes into the next is educational value.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I think when I'm looking at some kind of web resource to use, if it's not going to help the students, reach that learning intention, then why would I use it?
Yeah, I agree. And when you're designing, implementing your teaching learning programs, and you find a tool, it's obviously, like what's the learning intentions and then success criteria. It needs to value add, what's the difference between, like I said before, doing this electronically in whatever format it is, or doing it just in the student's book. Are they going to be able to access it better? It's not point. You can't just have it as just a gimmick or something like that. It needs to actually, build on their prior knowledge and develop their skills somehow.
Yeah, and I think this is really, really important, because one of the traps I think that lots of teachers fall into, and something that I've done in the past before, is you find this really cool, really engaging, really fun app or website to use, and you kind of lose sight of why you're using it, because it is so fun and engaging. I think as a teacher we really need to keep in mind that it also has to have educational value. If it's not going to be better than something I'm just doing in the classroom as usual, then if it doesn't increase the learning potential of the student, then is it worth investing my time and effort into using it? So I think educational value is one of the most important ones there.
Yeah, I completely agree. I know that I've used like an interactive visual aid, and afterwards I've gone, truthfully, they could have achieved the same outcome probably in less amount of time if they just quickly drew that in their book. And same with also like Poplet. I know plenty of people like Poplet as a brainstorming activity, but I think it's more just gimmicky than value adding.
Yep. Okay, great. Well, I guess the last one is the transferable one. And for me, this came from my experience of having to change schools. So I'm now at my third school, and my first school used a lot of resources which were paid resources. So a lot of the stuff that I developed was locked into those apps or that software or that platform. And then I went to my second school and they used completely different things. So everything I'd done in the first 3 years, I couldn't transfer, I couldn't open, I couldn't use. So I felt like I was a first year teacher again, having to create all this stuff. And now I've gone to my third school and they use Google Docs, which is great because it's all online and it's all accessible. But none of the stuff I have developed in the last 4 years has been transferable. So I think now with that experience, looking at all these new apps and resources, I really have a mindset of I need something that's free, something that's accessible, that's not locked into something specific, and that is transferable across a lot of different platforms.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I was rather fortunate that I have been to, I think this is my fifth school, and 4 previous schools, they all use Smart Notebook, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Office. So I was quite lucky, therefore I can take what I'd made at another school. But then again, at the current school, They don't have Microsoft Office, and they don't have Smart Notebook. So therefore, at the beginning of last year, yeah, exactly, I felt like a first year teacher all over again and having to redevelop. So it made something for me to consider. The other things that I've been caught out with in the past that I need to consider is, can the program work on the device that the students have? Yeah, I'm quite fortunate that, our school and the amount is a Mac school, even though they use a lot of Google products. But so when you use something on a MacBook Pro or Air, you assume that it's going to work therefore on the iPad, and then it has been a case in the past where the website hasn't developed a mobile site yet. So one of the things you've got to make sure is that is it transferable between device and device. I think later in the I teach a lower grade at the moment, but then as the students get older, it's more of a bring your own device. So then I have to stop. Not only have to worry about can it work from a MacBook to an iPad, but if the student has an Android device or a Microsoft device, would it also be able to work on there? Is it transferable in that context?
Okay, great. Well, I think I've looking at all these 5 criteria, I think it's been a really valuable exercise. I think maybe I have done this stuff without realizing that I was thinking about these criteria, but by writing it all out and by discussing it with you, I think it's more clear now what I am looking for, to make sure that I do pick resources which are going to be useful now and in the future.
Yeah, I completely agree. This exercise has allowed me to be more reflective of my own personal practices and kind of evaluate what it is that I'm using before implementing the classroom, and have this that's a nice little checklist criterion for me to go through and make sure I don't get caught out.
Yeah,
make sure that I can have the most effective lesson possible with the students meeting the success criteria.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, it's been really great to work with you. I think that's kind of it. Now I just have to submit our assignment.
Yay! All right. Thanks for that. Take care.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.